There we are. Okay, so well, hello everyone, and obviously welcome to my kitchen. Oh, Kathy, you've put your hand up already. Do you want to raise a question, or shall I just pop you off? Hand up. Okay, so yeah, hello and welcome to my kitchen. Lucy, we've chatted before. I'm Lyndsay Sadler. I'm basically a trained chef actually, and I said, funnily enough, said no to this machine for about 5 years because I'm one of these people that said I can cook. Why do I need one? Then I ended up going to a demo one evening, and I was just absolutely blown away by what I saw, and it sowed the seed. So Kathy's saying she hasn't got any sound. Everybody else can hear me. You'll need to join with computer audio. Okay. So it sowed the seed in my mind. I thought it was an amazing machine, mainly because I saw how much I could accomplish in such a short space of time. And then I bought my first machine about 3 months later. And then a few months after that, I'd started talking to people, sharing what I was doing, and it just seemed a natural progression to join the Thermomix business. So I became an advisor in September 2018. And then 2 years later, I became a team leader, and I am now building a fabulous team of advisors working alongside me, all working to share and spread the Thermomix love, because we love our machines. And you will find, actually, when you join Thermomix, there is a huge community out there. Us owners are a very passionate bunch. We love talking about our machines. We love sharing what they can do. We love sharing recipes that we cook. So you will never find yourself short of inspiration. And that is, again, one of the benefits of joining our community, is you get all of that inspiration on hand to help you out. And you get access to a trained advisor as well for help and support at all times. So if those of you are on Facebook and you're not part of my customer group already, I would look for my customer group and join that, because it will show you the sorts of things that customers do with their machines, the recipes that they do, and what they think about them and how much they love them. So it's a really, really useful group. I've got you don't need to duck out the way, it's fine. One of my children in the background. Okay, so I want to start cooking actually, and then what I'll do is, during the cooking process, I will show you the ins and outs of the machine, and hopefully be able to share Cookie Do with you as well, which is our online recipe platform. So I've got 2 Thermomixes behind me. Don't worry, you don't need to, although I can't be held responsible if very soon after you buy one, you come to rely on it so much, you'll find you actually want to buy a second. So most of my customers aspire to, if not own a second already, aspire to owning a second, because you just rely on them so much, and they are just so useful and fun to cook with. Okay, so I'm going to get going. I'll just go over the menu for today. I'm doing a really nice sort of vegan pasta sauce, actually. It's veganuary, and I thought it'd be quite fun to do, and it fits within the timings. So we're going to do a little pasta sauce. Now, it's not one that I thought was a particularly obvious recipe. It didn't stand out when I sort of looked at the description, but I've had quite a few customers now on the group cook it and say it is fabulous. So I was really keen to try it, especially because I am doing veganuary this month. So I'm going to do the pasta sauce, but I'm also going to make the pasta. So you're going to see the pasta dough. And then I am going to make a little bit of bread dough. And then we're going to make some chocolate brownies. If there's time, I'll see how things are going. I'm going to make some butter as well, because that's great fun to do with the Thermomix, and just demonstrates one of the features and one of the cost savings that can be achieved when you have a Thermomix, because it's an awful lot cheaper to make your own butter than it is to buy it, and quite handy when the supermarkets run out, as they did in the last lockdown. So I'm going to get on with the pasta sauce. You'll notice I'll go through the machine later. You'll notice that we've got the Varoma on top here. So all these accessories come with the machine. So there isn't anything extra to buy. But we're going to be using the Varoma today to steam with. So this is the sort of steaming unit. And this is one of the features of the Thermomix, because you are able to do this multi-level cooking in here, which means you can cook multiple things in one go and save on washing up. So while a sauce or a soup is cooking in the bottom, you can have vegetables steaming in the basket above. So we've got a little simmering basket that sits in here. It's not always used in recipes, but you can steam rice and vegetables in here. And then you've got this unit which sits on top, which is called the varoma. And you can steam fillets of fish, chicken breasts, and even whole chicken in there. So you can steam a whole chicken in 55 minutes, which is brilliant. Quicker than roasting it in the oven, and the meat is very succulent and juicy. But before we go into all of that, I just want to get going with my pasta sauce. And while that's cooking, I will use the other machine to make some pasta dough and make some bread as well. And I want to get the bread on because I want it to prove. So you'll see my machine's got a touch screen on the front. Now, I'll bring you a bit closer to it when it's cooking so that you can sort of see what's on that touch screen, because this is the really unique point of the Thermomix, actually. No other piece of kitchen equipment has this touch screen, which allows you to walk yourself or be walked through a recipe step by step. It tells you exactly what to do. And actually, one of the great things about it is it means that you can do sort of tag team cooking with other members of the family. So if you just get to a certain point in the recipe and you need to dash out, or you want to go off and do something else, or you've got a phone call, somebody else can just come along and take over from where you've got to without you having to explain to them exactly what to do. It's just like having a chef in an earpiece. It's been described to me by a customer, just walking you through a recipe step by step and telling you what to do. And it also means it speeds things up, because you're not forever going back to your recipe book thinking, oh, where did I get to? Hang on, I did all these steps. But, you know, I've done that. No, I'm here. It's always where you are in real time on the front of your machine, which is super helpful and saves you a lot of time. So I'm going to call up my weekly planner. So I can put a weekly planner in here. Let's just show you this while I do this. And I will bring you over to the machine so that you can see the functions as they go. So here's my weekly planner. Can you see I've been able to put a number of recipes in here? And then I've got a really nice, we're doing a lovely cooking experience next Saturday afternoon for customers, which you're all very welcome to join. I've got some really nice recipes that we're doing from there. So I've planned my recipes a week in advance. So you can plan it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So I'm going to get started with this recipe. So I just click on it and press start cooking. It's as easy as that. So there we go, start cooking. Now this particular recipe does not cook the pasta in the sauce. You do still have to cook the pasta separately, but I'm going to show you how to make the pasta to go alongside that, which I thought you might find interesting. So I'm just going to bypass that step because I'm not going to cook it straight away. My fresh pasta will cook in a matter of minutes. So it's going to tell me to put 1 garlic clove in, okay? So let's pop you back on there while I pick up my garlic clove, and I've got everything ready, so I don't have to peel anything, which will just speed it up. So here's my garlic clove. I'm just going to drop it in. Then all I do is click on that green next button. 6 sprigs of rosemary, just the leaves, obviously not the woody bits. So I'm going to put all my rosemary in like this. And please do, if you've got a question, please just do ask it, interrupt me, wave your hand, because this is what these sessions are all about, is for you to fully understand this machine and get the most out of it. So my rosemary's gone in. Now I'm going to put in 100 grams of onion. So all you need to do with an onion is peel it and then chop it into either halves or quarters. This recipe has told me to put it into quarters. So there we are. It's fantastic. You never have to finely chop anything again, because this will do it for you. Oh, I need some more. I haven't done this recipe before. And that, again, you know, it just shows you, it gives you the confidence, this machine, to cook something from scratch live in front of people that you don't know. And you've got that confidence that you will be getting a restaurant quality result out of it, as long as you follow the instructions on the screen. So if people deviate from those instructions, then the quality and the end result is not guaranteed. So now it wants me to add 75 grams of carrots. So they're going to weigh in. And again, I've just peeled it. Some people don't. And you can keep the peelings actually and use it in vegetable stock paste. They go in. And then some celery. So the celery is just going to go in. Okay, and this is where this machine, you'll see in a minute, deviates from something like a normal food processor, because it will not only cut it all up for you, chop it all up like a food processor does, it also heats. and cooks for you. So it's going to tell me to, oh, I was a little bit too fast there, add some olive oil. So here's my olive oil. So I can just reset my scales to 0. It's asking me for 20 grams. And what you'll see, if I bring you over here, I've got inbuilt weighing scales. Can you see those weighing scales on the front? Now, some people like to add a little bit less oil, especially if they're on a health kick. So you can play about with the amount of oil. I'm just going to follow the instructions. But can you see those scales have weighed it directly for me? So I've just weighed it straight in. There you are. Let's put you back on there. Click on next. Now it wants me to put the lid on. So, and that gives it to me as an instruction. Put the lid on, put the measuring cup inside. And then I've got this preset recipe. So let's just show you that as well while we're here. So can you see, I've got these 3 dials on my screen. The first is time, the second is temperature, the third is speed. So all our recipes are written as a function of 3 different things: time, temperature, and speed. And all the, which is a bit like any recipe that you do actually, but the Thermomix just breaks it down so you can see exactly what process is happening at exactly at that precise time. So on a guided recipe, all of these functions are input for you. Hang on. They are input for you. I've just got somebody else joining, which I've just seen come into the waiting room. So you've got 5 seconds on the clock, no heat, and it's just going to chop all of that up at speed 6. So there we go. Make a little bit of a noise. So all of those vegetables chopped up in 6 seconds. If I can show you that, there you go, all chopped up beautifully. I don't have to do that by hand. Now it's telling me to scrape down the sides, which I'll do in a second, put the lid back on. It already smells lovely. Now it's going to saute it for me for 3 minutes at 120 degrees, speed 1. So this is where your Thermomix will differ to something like a food processor or a soup maker, because neither of those will cook for you. And the real benefit of the Thermomix is this precise temperature control. Now I just want to find a spatula. Here we are. You know, I wasn't that organized this morning. So let's just scrape down the sides, make sure everything's pushed down to where the blades are going to turn. Oh, absolutely gorgeous already. And then all I'm going to do is just turn this selector dial here to speed 1. And the machine is going to saute for me. So at that point, different to doing it in a frying pan, obviously. If you're going to be cooking in the traditional method, you would have perhaps done that in a food processor. Then you would have transferred that to a frying pan. You'd have to heat your frying pan up. You'd then have to stand stirring on a hob and make sure that you didn't get that temperature too hot or not hot enough so that it was just right. You don't have any of that with a Thermomix. It chops it all up and it cooks it for you. And then the other thing is it washes itself up at the end, which is really handy. And as you'll see, in fact, I've got one here, which I've just washed up this morning. So I'm going to empty that out, just give it a quick rinse, and then come on to making some bread dough with it, I think. So it doesn't need to be too dry. Okay, let me just give it, it'll actually dry itself up for you as well. You can put a tea towel in and then set the blades on reverse and get it to dry itself in about 20 seconds. But I'm just going to do it by hand like that. Importantly, set those blades onto reverse, otherwise you might shred up a tea towel in the process. There we go. So that one's all nicely cleaned out. Let's just sort the lid out as well. There we are. Okay, now I'm going to come on to make some bread with the other machine. So again, I'm going to go back to my touch screen, try and bring you as close as I can. I'm going to find that recipe on my week because I've saved it to my planner for today. So there we are, goes onto my week. I'm just going to pick up the recipe that I want to cook, which is the sun-dried tomato tear and share bread. Now this bread is incredible actually. It means that you can have bread rolls on the table in around about an hour because it only takes a couple of minutes to knead with the Thermomix. And then we're going to force proof them in the oven. And I'm just going to talk you through that process and show you what I mean. So here's my recipe. It's already loaded on the screen. I'm going to press start cooking. Now I'm going to actually halve this recipe because my children, I end up giving these away to the neighbours because of course my children are very fussy, and anything with olives or sun-dried tomatoes in, they won't eat unless I con them and use it as a pizza base, which I have done in the past. So it wants me to put 220 grams of water. I'm going to use some warm water in here just to speed things up again. Okay, 220 grams. Now I'm halving the recipe, obviously, so, and you can do that. So let's just half that, 110 grams. That'll do. A teaspoon of sugar. And I always put a little bit of sugar into my bread, actually. I just think it gives a nicer result. You don't have to. So I'm not going to be too precise about that. And you'll notice, so some people are worried whether they can adapt and amend recipes, or whether the Thermomix is going to tell them off because they're not following the recipe exactly. And the answer to that question is a resounding no. You can add and amend every single recipe apart from the recipes that involve sugar stages. And that is just a safety feature when you are boiling sugar to about 200, or just under 200 degrees. So that's gone in. Now I need some yeast. So 2 teaspoons of yeast. Let's pick up a teaspoon from here. Ooh, probably slightly more than a teaspoon, that one. That goes in. And now I'm just going to put some bread flour in. Bread flour. Make sure I've got the right one. Okay. I buy my flour in massive 16 kilo bags and then just decant it into the tubs. So I'm going to put in 250 grams of the bread flour. My neighbours will be very happy. I've already told them that they're going to have some rolls to go with dinner tonight. Here we are, 250 grams. Click on next. 90 grams of sun-dried tomatoes in olive oil. Okay, so I'm just going to put them in whole. It says drained. I just shake the oil off. So I'm going for half of that. Need to remember. It's about one more, I should imagine. There we are. That will do.
Put it in the, not the one, put it in the basket and I'll order it.
Okay, I am just going to mute.
Where is it?
No, not mute me. If I can mute
Okay.
everyone that's joined, so I don't get any background noise, that would be helpful. Okay, there we are. Close. Can you still hear me okay? Hopefully, just, yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, if you can't hear me, let me know. No, I think you can. All right, so the sun-dried tomatoes have gone in. Now it wants me to add in some olive oil, 15 grams of olive oil. That goes in. This is such an easy way to make bread. I used to make all my own bread before I had a Thermomix, but I used to make it in a KitchenAid, but it used to take time. And now, you know, I can whip up a batch of bread in a couple of minutes. So tablespoon of salt goes in. Click on next. And then all I'm going to do is put the lid on. Okay, next, and then just set the knead function for 2 minutes. That is it. All right, so while that's kneading away, I'm going to move back to my other Thermomix, which is cooking the pasta sauce. Just click on next. And so obviously I've walked away from it. I've done something else. If I was following a recipe at this point, I'd have to go back to the recipe and think, oh, just look down, think where I was. None of that. It's straight on the machine for me. So 100 grams of lentils. So let's get my lentils. I've just rinsed my lentils. I like to rinse them. I'm just putting my scales on. Just check that I've got the correct amount. There they go. Into there. Let's move that out of the way. I've got a few more lurking in the bowl. Okay. 200 grams of roasted red peppers. So these are just the ones that you get in a jar, and it says drained and sliced. So I just put them on a little bit of paper towel just to drain off that sort of a brine that they're in. In they go. So I'm weighing it straight in. I think I'm slightly under actually. Never mind, I'm not going to get another one out of the jar now. There we are. And then 100 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. It says sun-blushed tomatoes. I think they're pretty much the same. So in there you go. And again, I'm just going to load them in, draining them off as I go. And if you don't want it with quite as many in, you don't have to put them all in. These are just sort of recommended recipes. But of course, if you deviate from them, then your results will be slightly different. Okay, I have a lot of customers that say, oh, no, the recipe's gone wrong. What? It's not turned out as I was expecting. And I always say to them, did you follow the recipe? And invariably, then the truth comes out that things got changed or added or amended or not put in. And that's when you find that you may have difficulty. Now, some chopped tomatoes, tin chopped tomatoes. So just 400 grams of chopped tomatoes. So that's a whole tin. That's going in. 300 grams of water. So let's use the tin to measure out the water so that I rinse out the last bits of the tomato that are left in there. There's no waste in this house. I hate waste. And again, I mean, that's what one of the Thermomix really helps you with that side of things, because, you know, often you will find lots of recipes that you can make with leftovers. If you've got sort of leftover vegetables in the sort of bottom of the vegetable drawer that are looking past their best, you can make some beautiful stock paste with it, which costs pennies actually, and is arguably better for you than buying those little stock cubes. Tastes better because it's just full of fresh ingredients. You know exactly what's in it, and it lasts forever as well. You can make a big vat of it. In fact, I've got some here. It might actually ask me to put some in, but I'll show you what I mean. This is my vegetable stock paste, which is basically just made from leftover vegetables, all pureed and then cooked down in the Thermomix with a lot of salt added to it to give me a huge Kilner jar full of stock paste. And I just use a teaspoon every time I make a soup or a casserole or some you know, stock or something. Here we go. Vegetable stock cube it wants, or half a teaspoon of homemade vegetable stock paste. So there we are. That's going in. So, and pennies. And that's one of the, you know, how you can start to achieve savings to your Thermomix, because I hear a lot of time, oh, I'd love one of these machines, but they are so expensive, I can't justify it. And actually, and I said the same thing myself for many years, but what I've seen now through the benefit of my own experience and working with my customers is that if you are using these machines to their full potential, you will offset the cost of it through the savings that you make through changing the way you shop and buying fresher, you know, cheaper, fresher ingredients and using the Thermomix to prepare them for you. So let's pop that in. And now it's just telling me it's going to cook for 12 minutes at 80 degrees, speed 1. So meanwhile, follow the next step. So at this point, it wants me to start cooking the tagliatelle on the hob. So it factors it all in for you, even though there might be other elements in this recipe that require you to use an oven or use a hob. It's all the timings are carefully, and the method is carefully prepared for you. So it's still like you're being told exactly what to do. So I'm just going to leave that to cook away, and then I'm going to show you my dough. So here we go. I've got this beautiful dough here. This is my sun-dried tomato tear and share bread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over to my other tripod. Let's just get that set up behind so you can see how I shape those rolls. Right, let's just pop you down here so you're going to get a nice view of behind, like behind the scenes. There we go. Hopefully I can just angle you. Oh, this tripod's a bit wonky. It might just, right, there we are. It might just go off to the side a little bit, but you're, there we go. Oh, come on. Let's just see if I can tighten it up a little bit. Ah, there, got it. Fab. Right, so dough scraper. I'm just going to pull the dough out from the blades. It's coming out beautifully cleanly. As you can see, I've got a little bit just left around the top, which I'm going to just scrape out and give it a very quick knead. But that's just lovely dough. There we are. take it out, and then we'll just use that to make some pasta with after. So you can see it's come out beautifully cleanly. Okay, here's my dough. Now, I'm going to, you don't have to do this, but I like to do, I'm just going to weigh off 85, 90 gram portions using just a set of little weighing scales here, just so that I get all of my rolls an even size. So that is 85, until I've done this before. Slightly over. There we go. And this means they just all rise and exactly and cook evenly, rise and cook evenly. There we are. That just seems a little bit bigger. No, 89. There we are. So I've got my 5 pieces portioned out. And then all I'm going to do is I just sort of go round the clock, pulling in the edges and then just shaping them like that using a sort of a claw technique with my hands. Okay, until you've got something resembling a nice tight roll. So once that's happened, onto a baking sheet. Okay, you don't have to do this bit. Lots of people just prefer to roll them, and that's fine. Paul Hollywood always says that his father said to him when he was training as a baker that you've got 2 hands, you need to use them. And if you don't use both hands, then I'll only pay you half your salary. So there we go. So you can do it with 2 hands if you feel like showing off like that, and then just pop them onto the prepared tray. So I've just got a really old silicon baking sheet there. But you could flour a tray or you could put some olive oil. So let's just do that really a little bit more, a bit tighter. I'm much stronger with my right hand than I am with my left. So I'm going to go over that one again. There we are. And I like it when they batch cook. So I'm just going to pop them like that. And then a little bit of grease cling film goes over the top. And this is a bit that I've had in my drawer that I use time and again. Grease cling film. And then I'm just going to pop them into a 50-degree oven to prove. So let's bring you over to my oven. Just check the temperature in there. I've turned the fan off, and this will just force proof them. So you'll notice, the bread makers among you will notice that I haven't given this bread dough a first proof. I've just immediately shaped it, and that is one of the sort of specific features about making dough in the Thermomix, is that you can get away often with just doing a quick fast proof, and it doesn't affect the quality of the bread, and that is largely down to this proprietary super fast kneading function that we have. Oh, look, there's another child. I think they've managed to all appear on camera. Right, so let's pop you back in here. Now I'm going to do some pasta dough. Right, so exactly the same bowl. This is cooking away, making my pasta sauce, and I've already made bread. Genius. Okay, if you didn't have 2 Thermomixes, you would just do your bread first and then continue in your bowl, and you wouldn't need to wash it up. And again, just saving on that washing up, saving on that time, saving on that effort. Because if you schedule how you want to cook things, often you can get away without cleaning the bowl and cook lots of different things sequentially, which is quite cool. Right, so now I'm going to pick up my recipe on here, and I'm going to just whip up some fresh egg pasta. So I've got fresh pasta dough on here. It's going to walk me through that recipe again. Click yes. So it's asking me to put in 200 grams of plain flour. So I always use the 00 flour here. Let's pop that in. It's what the Italians would use. It's what Jamie Oliver uses. 200 grams is going in. Just weigh that straight in using those inbuilt scales. Okay, so that's gone in. And then it's going to ask me for 2 eggs. Now, I always use large eggs when I make pasta, 2 large eggs. And what I'm looking for is the weight of those eggs to weigh 120 grams. If it doesn't weigh 120 grams, I will add a little bit of olive oil just to compensate. So that's telling me it's 114. So what I want to add in my olive oil to compensate. And this will give you a beautiful textured pasta dough. Okay, just add in a little bit of olive oil. Lovely. Okay, now put that lid on. So here goes my lid. click on next, and then a 2-minute knead has come on as well. So I usually, if I'm making pasta dough or making bread, I automatically, and I'm not following a recipe, if I'm doing one of my own recipes, then I automatically just set a 2-minute knead, and that's generally all it takes to knead dough. Okay, so what have I got going on? I've got 5 minutes on the clock here, and this is going to knead. I'm going to stop it after about a minute because actually I don't think you need the full 2 minutes. Has anybody, let's just go back to so I can see, has anybody got any questions for me at this point? No? Are you enjoying what you're seeing? Do you feel
Lyndsay,
slightly, yes, hello.
It's Glynis here. What
Hi,
would you use the 00 flour for pizza dough, or is it just for pasta dough?
I personally don't use it for pizza dough. I just use regular bread making flour for pizza dough. And Jamie Oliver, I believe, uses half and half.
Okay, thank you.
So the 00 flour just has a slightly higher protein content to it, and it's a very fine grade actually. So you can really use either for pizza, and I can't really say it makes much of a difference. Right, let's have a look. Okay, I'm just going to go over and get my semolina out of here. Oh, semolina or polenta. And semolina is very useful when you're rolling out pasta, as I will show you in a minute. Okay. That pasta sauce is cooking away. It smells gorgeous. Right. So let's just have a look at this. I've just stopped the kneading process, and you can see it's crumbly like that, and you'll think, how on earth am I going to get that to roll out? But actually, when you pick it up and squish it together, it forms a dough. So let's take you over and show you how I roll out my pasta. There we are. Oh, where have I put my other tripod? Here it is. Right, so let's hope I don't cut you off. Here we are. So you're actually seeing behind my pasta machine at the moment, and it's going to be a little bit back to front for you. But I'll do my best to explain to you what I'm doing. In fact, I could probably, let's see, move you this side to start with, and you'll get to see the front of it. That would be an idea, wouldn't it? There we are. Ooh. It's not going to like that, my tripod. Okay, so let's just move that out of the way for the time being. And I'm just going to get the dough out here. Now, sometimes you might want to remove the base of the Thermomix, and then the blades will drop out. This is really handy when you want to clean up what's inside it. And also these machines are, you can put them in the dishwasher. And when I put them in the dishwasher, I just take the blades and the base off. So I'm just going to clean out the rest of that. Put it to one side. And then just squidge my dough together. Right, let's bring you over here again because you can't really see what I'm doing here, and that's a bit more interesting. So let's just bring it together. There's some dough. Now you don't want this dough too wet, and you don't want it too dry. If it's too dry, it's going to be difficult to roll, and if it's too wet, it's going to stick to your rollers. Have you all got pasta machines? Have you made, any of you made pasta before? I can't actually see you. Has anybody got one? No. Okay, so this is hopefully something a little bit new for you. It's a little bit dry, this, but I think it'll be fine. So there we go. So I'm just going to take off a little bit like this and crucially wrap the rest of it in some cling film so that it doesn't dry out anymore. So you'll find if you leave the dough like that, you'll come back and it'll just formed a crust, and then it won't be very easy or nice to use. So I'll just use a little bit of cling film, wrap the rest of it up. Now I take off usually about 100-gram portion, which is probably what this is. Flatten it down. Then I'm going to come back to my pasta machine. There you go. Now this is quite dry. So as you can see, the pasta machine's got two sides to it. So you've got a roller and then you've got the cutter. So the roller, it's got 7 settings. So I'm just going to progressively bring those rollers closer together to just make that pasta thinner and thinner. So let's see how we go with putting it through. To start with, there it comes. Can you see that coming out? That's my first go. And I've got bits of bread in there because I have the sun-dried tomatoes. So I'm just going to fold that roughly into thirds when it comes out, like that, and stick it back through again. So the first roll we do 3 times. Okay, each time in a different direction. So you get a lovely sheet out that's starting to look like a lasagna sheet. Then I'm just going to move the dial once, click it into the second position and go again. And you're going to do 1 lot of pasta. And then the third. So you can see how quick this is. And actually, like Jamie Oliver, I can make fresh pasta in the time it takes my pot of water to boil, which is about 7 minutes. So there we go. So roll it through. It's beautifully behaved, perfect consistency. When people make pasta by hand, they often find they get into a little bit of hot water with the consistency of the dough. But again, you know, that is the beauty of the Thermomix. It is also carefully controlled for you. But as long as you follow the recipe, it will work out. So there's my lovely sheet of pasta. You could use that. That's a lasagna sheet as it is. So when I make fresh lasagna, I quickly roll through my pasta and put it into my lasagna dish. I don't pre-cook it, parboil it, anything. Right now, I'm just going to take my handle off and pop it into the back of it, which is my cutting side. Now, I'm going to just get either a pair of scissors or a pizza cutter at this point. I've got my pizza cutter to hand, and I'm just going to cut this lasagna sheet halfway through, so it makes it a little bit more manageable to put through the cutters. So if I just flip you onto the back of it, and hopefully that will stay up. So now I'm going to just pop it through the cutting side and you'll see what comes out. Beautiful tagliatelle. So I would then just drop that straight into a pan of boiling water, or you can dry it actually. If you have a pasta tree, which I do have, but I didn't get it out, which is a bit silly. Although I could, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put it over my, this will please my husband, my, the handle on my microwave. There we are. And then I can just leave it there to dry for the afternoon because I'm not going to use it straight away. So let's do that. Just space it out. Can you see that? It's just hanging to dry over there. I've had customers use airing clothes airers for the same purpose. Let's just do, I'll just do the rest later for the kids' dinner. Let's pop this back through this second sheet, going through my cutters. I can just get it to go through. It doesn't like it. Why is it not going through? There. Oh, it would help if I was rolling it the right way. There we are. Trying to do it too quick. Right, so there's my second lot of beautiful fresh egg tagliatelle. How easy was that? Absolutely brilliant. Never need to buy dried spaghetti again. So let's just pop that over there. The kids will find this funny to come and see it. Right, and then I've just got a little bit left over from behind the machine. Let's just get that. Okay. Wow. And pop it out there. So that's roughly, and 100 grams is roughly about one portion. Okay, so 200 grams of flour will give pasta for about 3 people, I should imagine. Roughly, you're looking at 1 egg per portion, or just slightly over. So you'll feed 2 to 3 people with that. Okay, right. Let's get you back onto the main tripod and have a look at what's going on in the pasta sauce. So that stage has finished. Now, let's show you what it looks like, actually. We'll see. Have I managed to? There we go. Can you see me? Can you see it? So it's cooking away, making a lovely tomato-based sauce. Now the machine is telling me, or the screen on the front of the Thermomix is telling me to put the aroma dish into position. which I will do, and then weigh in the thick kale. So let's just do that. So I'm quite glad actually I've chosen this recipe, because sometimes when I cook these recipes, you don't see the varoma in use. And I've done some absolutely fantastic recipes in the past where I've made things like, I've made a hollandaise sauce. Now hollandaise is so easy to make in a Thermomix. As a mayonnaise is, you literally just have to throw in the ingredients and click thicken, and it sorts it all out and does it for you. If you're using it to make mayonnaise, then the oil just drips through. It allows you to sort of drip the oil through in a measured way without you having to do anything, because there's a very small gap between this measuring cup and the lid. The other thing I can show you, and this is quite clever as well, if you want to separate eggs from meringues, can you see there's a recess in this lid? So there's a little hole, probably a little gap between the measuring cup and the lid, which allows the steam to escape. But if you're separating eggs, you can just crack them directly onto here. The egg whites will drain into the bowl, and then you'll be left with the egg yolks on here. It's exactly the same principle when you're squeezing lemons as well. So you can use it like a lemon squeezer. And this is, again, one of the features of these machines. Hang on, I just got some background noise. So let me just make sure everybody that's just joined is on mute. That is one of the features of these machines, is they're designed to be multifunctional. So you can get rid of lots of different pieces of kitchen equipment and things like, you don't need a colander really or a sieve anymore, because these will function as colanders and sieves. Okay, so let's get my varoma into position. So here's my varoma dish. I don't need the tray, so I'm going to remove that. But again, you can have things cooking in the bottom of the varoma, then you can have other things cooking in the tray if you need to. So what I want to do is pop my kale, and I've already washed it, and I'm going to steam my kale rather than cooking it inside the sauce. So that's going to go in there. Click on next, and it's all preset to cook for 4 minutes at the steaming temperature, which is about 120 degrees, speed 1. So there we go. Right, so while that's getting cooked, I just want to come back to the other Thermomix and show you how to make some butter. Now, I'm going to be a bit naughty in here. It's not going to matter, it's just had eggs and flour in it. If I had more time, but I am conscious of the time, I would clean this out. So it has a self-clean function, but it takes between sort of 5 and 8 minutes to run. For the self-clean function, you just put in about 1 litre of water, drop of washing up liquid, and then you can set it to clean itself, which is really handy. But what I want to do, I am going to give it a whirl and see if I can do this. I want to make some butter, because this is always good fun at a demo. So I'm going to put my butterfly whisk in. Again, this is an accessory that comes with the Thermomix. You just pop it in, give it a little twist so it sits up against the blaze. Now, you'll have to just pretend that this bowl is clean. I do have a third bowl, but it is in the garage, and I'm not going to go digging around the garage to find it just right now. Okay, so I'm going to come out of here. I haven't got butter on my planner today, so let me just show you how I would search for a recipe. Okay, so I'm connecting directly to Cookie Dough. It's just asking me to wait. So I'm just going to search for butter like that and click search. Okay, so here we go. Here's my fresh butter. It's as easy as that recipe. So through this touchscreen, you've got access to about 66,000 recipes. Now, it's told me to insert the butterfly whisk. I've done that. Let's hope having those extra ingredients in the bowl is not going to affect this recipe. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm just going to go on to use this butter in cooking actually. So the fact that it's already got a bit of egg and flour around the bowl shouldn't, in theory, really matter. So I'm going to tip in my double cream. This is 85p a pot actually in Lidl at the moment. It's just gone down slightly. So for the cost of about £1.70, I'm going to make approximately 350 grams of butter and 250 grams of buttermilk. That's roughly how it splits out. So you can't buy 350 grams of butter in the supermarket for £1.70. About the cheapest The non-branded ones are about £1.50 for 250 grams. So again, it just shows you that it's cheaper to make it yourself. But lots of people don't, because actually it's a bit of a faff, but not when you've got a Thermomix. So, and my lid is clean, pop that lid on, click on next, and then all it's going to do is it's going to whisk it for 1 minute at speed 3.5. Now the butter needs, the cream really needs to be at room temperature. Sometimes it won't go in that 1 minute because the cream's not at room temperature. I have tried to bring it up the last hour, so we'll see. If it's not at room temperature to start with, you usually just need to whisk it for a bit longer, and at some point it will split out into your the curds and the whey. In fact, I think I've just heard it go. Can you see it slightly rocking from side to side? That's a telltale sign that it's split out. So I'm just going to show you, get my tripod ready to show you what you do once it's split. With my hands super duper rinse, give them a wash as well, and give them a dry. I'm just going to keep an eye on my rolls as well. Yeah, they haven't been in for very long. Okay, right, so let's have a look at what's happened. There we go, beautiful butter. I've got too many machines beeping at me at once. The pasta sauce is just finished. So here's my butter. Can you see that beautiful yellow butter? And then underneath you'll see all the buttermilk. So that's really easy to deal with now. You don't want to waste that buttermilk because you can use it in baking. You can actually, it's not sort of the traditional buttermilk in the sense that you buy with the live cultures and the acidulated version. It really is just full cream milk. So you could even just use that as a bit of a bonus, have it on cereal, have it in your coffee. So this is where one of these simmering baskets comes in quite useful. Let's see if I can pop you down. There we are. So you can see my sink. Let's get my glasses out of the way. See that? Okay. Right, so now I'm just going to decant the buttermilk and the butter into my simmering basket, which is just going to act as a bit of a sieve to separate out the butter and the buttermilk. So there we are. Now, there's quite a lot of fluid in that buttermilk. I'm going to show you what I do with it next. This is where you need, if you've never seen this done before, your water on nice and cold. Don't use hot water because it will melt it. And then you just need to wash it. Okay, so I squeeze out as much of that buttermilk as I can because I, as I mentioned, don't like waste. Hate waste, in fact, especially waste that I can use in baking or make scones with. You can whip up a lovely batch of fresh scones with this as well. So there we go. And then I'm just going to literally rinse it under cold water. Rinse it. So that just, and the reason we do this is that to get the buttermilk out, and it stops the butter going rancid so quickly. So my homemade butter will last in the fridge quite happily for about a week, just sometimes over a week. If you add salt to it, then to last a bit longer. But if you won't use it in a week, you can freeze it. So I freeze mine in sort of 100-gram blocks, which I find really useful. Okay, I'm just looking around for a bowl. Of course, I don't have one to hand. Here's a bowl that I can just put my rinsed butter in, because I'm going to use this butter now in my brownies. So I want to use, I'm just going to squeeze out as much as I can actually. There we are. And I'm going to be a bit naughty and not rinse this because we're going to just use it directly in baking, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't want it too wet, obviously, because that will then make the brownie extra gooey. So a reasonable amount of buttermilk left in there would be fine. Okay, so that will do. So how cool is that? And this is my daughter actually, a couple of weeks ago, had to make some fairy cakes and buttercream icing for one of her food tech projects from home. And we didn't have any butter, but I had a huge amount of cream. I usually buy my cream in sort of 2-litre bottles from Booker. And I said to her, oh, don't worry, we don't, you know, we haven't got butter, but we'll make it. And so she made butter as part of her food tech project as well, which is really great to show the children how to do that. It's a great fun thing to do with your children, your grandchildren, and it all just helps teach people about food and that cooking process. So here we go. So there you can see, I've got my buttermilk out. Let's move this behind here. And now I'm just going to use this machine. I'm going to go back to my weekly planner, and I'm going to just call up my brownie recipe, click start cooking. Yes, preheat oven to 170 degrees. So it's going to tell me to preheat that oven, and then grease and line a tin. Ooh, right, have I got? I usually just use one of these tray baked tins actually, and then I don't bother lining it because it's full. You find you don't need to, but I have got some baking paper to hand. So let's just get a little bit of baking paper in there. I've been cooking for about, it was just before about 1:30, I think I started. And I've already pretty much made a main course, made the pasta, made some bread, made butter, and now I'm going to make the chocolate brownies, the pudding. So 45 minutes, 50 minutes of time, and you've pretty much got a whole meal for a family. Amazing. Well, not just a whole meal, but your bread, your butter, if you want it to go with your bread, your main meal, the pasta to go with it, and a pudding. Amazing. Right, so I've lined that tin. Now I'm going to put in some chocolate. It wants me to weigh the chocolate straight in. So here we go. I've got an assortment of very odd bags here, because despite the children claiming they don't like dark chocolate, they seem to do a good job at munching half a bar and hoping that I won't notice. So that is going to go in. That bit, I'm just going to weigh in the full amount. There we are. Got it out of here actually. Oh, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. Another couple of pieces. Lovely. Right, click on next. So put the lid on. So again, it's just walking me through this recipe step by step. And you'll notice I've done it in exactly the same bowl that I made the sun-dried tomato rolls in. I haven't washed it out, the egg pasta, the butter, and now I'm making brownies. Okay, so now it's going to chop all that chocolate up. 7 seconds. Loud noise. Doing that. Just throw my few bits in the bin. Get on top of clearing up. And then I'm going to put in my butter. So that's chopped all that chocolate up in 7 seconds. Now some butter. He wants 220 grams of it. So here we are. I reckon I'm not far off. Let's reset my scales to 0. Pop in the butter. Straight in. Lovely. Put the lid on. And then it's going to cook, will warm together the butter and the chocolate for 4 minutes, okay, at 70 degrees. So it's temperature controlling that cooking process. So I'm just going to pick up a bit of chocolate that I've dropped and pop it in the bin. So you can, again, walk away. You don't have to, there's none of that faffing around with a bain-marie or putting it in the microwave, putting it on for a couple of minutes, checking it, stirring it. The Thermomix is temperature controlling the cooking process. That means you can just walk away and leave it, forget about it entirely, get it out of your mind. Oh, and it's stirring it for you at the same time. So that's pretty amazing. Right, so that's going to cook away for 4 minutes. I'm just going to check on my pasta recipe. It's telling me to remove the varoma, transfer the lentil mixture and kale to a large bowl, then mix together. Okay, so that's the start. I don't know why I can't mix it. Actually don't know why I can't mix it all together. But what I might do is actually just bring a pan of water up to the boil and just cook off some of that pasta as well, so that you can see me cooking the fresh egg pasta. Although it doesn't take 2 minutes. So I'm just filling up my saucepan up with some boiling water, and I'll just cook that little bit of pasta off. So what it wants you to do is, which is the traditional Italian way actually, is add your sauce to a bowl, and then you add pasta to the sauce and mix it all round together. None of this sort of the way that we serve it in the UK often, and the way my kids insist on serving it, with the pasta on the bottom and then the sauce on the top. It all goes into the same bowl. So look, let me show you what that looks like now it's had its full cooking time. So pretty similar to before, actually. There you go. So I do a red lentil, thyme and bacon soup, and it's sort of a similar way, and it is absolutely delicious, that soup. So all I'm going to do, this kale has been beautifully steamed. So if I just have a little bit, it's still got a bite to it. 4 minutes, I think it was eight minutes maybe cooking time, absolutely perfect. And it's steamed that for me whilst making the pasta sauce underneath. So you don't need to get out a steamer or put it in the microwave or put it in another pan. It does it all for you at the same time. So I'm just going to decant that in like that. And then I'm going to use my spatula to just stir it around. Okay. So I'm just going to stir it together so my kale is in there as well. I might have to, with the 2-year-old, when she comes back from nursery, she's got a bit of a thing about vegetables at the moment. If she can see and detect it's a vegetable, she won't eat it. So what I will probably do is leave a little portion of sauce in there and I'll whiz it for her so she can't see anything particularly green in there. She's not too bad when she thinks it's a bolognese, but if she detects that slightest whiff of something else, then it's not going in it. It actually does smell amazing. So there we go. That's just stirred round. Let's show you what that, in fact, I'll bring this over to you now. I think. There we go. So that's my pasta sauce. And that's made a huge amount of pasta sauce, actually. So if you were just on your own or cooking for a smaller family, you could halve the ingredients. This is going to make more than enough, I think, for a family of sort of 4, even 6 like us. So I'm going to leave that. Let's see, my water's at the boil. There we go. That's still, I've got 26 seconds to go on my brownies. So let's just pop that on. And all I'm going to do, I'll just hold my water. I'm going to just turn that down because these are going to finish. In fact, I'm going to stop it because I'm sure it will have melted by now. Here we are. So all that chocolate has melted and the butter have melted together. Brilliant. It's all temperature control for me, so the chocolate hasn't got too hot. It's not going to seize. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of this. So I've done quite a few healthy brownie recipes over the last little while in my demos. There's some really interesting ways where you can sort of substitute the flour with things like kidney beans and black beans. You can have there's so many recipes on here. You will never work your way through the 66,000. I'm giving it a good go because I love to try things out on behalf of my customers and tell them about it. But, you know, 66,000 recipes is a really big ask. So now I need to find my sugar. And I often say to people, if it's not on cookie dough, you probably don't need to bother thinking about cooking it. And it just makes cooking really accessible. So you can make choux pastry. I mean, choux pastry is quite an advanced technique, really, in the pastry kitchen. And actually making choux pastry in here, it standardizes the process and makes it so easy. So it'll bring the water and the butter to temperature for you. It'll cook it out. Then you just add the flour to it. Then you add the eggs one by one, constantly stirring. 2 minutes later, you've got choux pastry out. And then you can pipe it, you know, straight onto your baking sheet. I've done choux pastry at a demo and people can't believe how easy it is to do when they've tried and previously and had some failures. And I think that's the thing that I like most about this machine, actually, is it just takes that variability out of cooking. We all like to have a play, we all like to experiment, but actually I've got to the point now where I don't want to experiment anymore. I've done all that. I've had my more than my fair share of disasters and things going on in the kitchen. But I know if I use one of these machines, I'm going to get those restaurant quality results every time. And especially for things like a hollandaise, it couldn't be easier. My son makes hollandaise now to go with steaks. When we have steak night on a Friday night, he'll make a peppercorn sauce. He's not even 14 yet, and he's been making curries from scratch since he was 11, including grinding all the spices, making the spice paste, because it just walks him through it step by step. I often just give him all the ingredients or give one of my children the ingredients and they just get on with it. So again, great for inspiring kids in the kitchen and teaching them how to cook. So I put the eggs in, just a little pinch of salt, and I do like to put a pinch of salt in actually. Some plain flour. Now you could use gluten. I've done these gluten-free for people when they're on restricted diets. You can use them gluten-free as well. So that's just going to get weighed straight in. Often I'll do the lemon drizzle cake in a demo. Sort of similar really, very, very easy, all in one method. You just chuck everything into the Thermomix. It will also make you, and this is one of the things that I usually have mentioned by this point, but haven't done today, you'll notice that I don't buy anything other than my regular white granulated sugar, because in 2 seconds in the Thermomix, I can turn granulated sugar into caster sugar. And in 10 seconds, I can turn it into icing sugar. So now I don't have to have multiple packets of sugar taking up space in my cupboard. I just have one of these, and then I make the different grades of sugar that I need. And I also save money in the process, because so strangely, icing sugar is double the price, in fact, almost triple the price of granulated sugar. So that's all going to go in together. It's preset for 1 minute at speed 4 to mix. So often, you know, my little girl, she's 10 now, she'll just come into the kitchen and she'll make a cake for herself because she knows where the ingredients are. She doesn't need me telling her what to do. She's quite competent at working with Thermomix. I usually give her a bit of a hand decanting it into the tin, getting it into the oven with her, and then brilliant, an hour or so later, we've got a cake out and she's done it all herself, and she gets that real sense of responsibility for it. So that's mixing away. Again, I don't have to think too much about it. My rolls are just starting. I think the yeast was a bit sleepy today. Can you see they're just sort of starting to, they've grown a bit, they're touching together. I'm going to keep them in that oven because I do want them to really double in size. I might not have put exactly the right amount of yeast in there, so it's going to take a little bit longer. But what I can do is I will post pictures. So once they've kind of doubled in size and they're sort of really squishy to the touch, I just put them straight into a 180-degree oven and cook them for about 15 minutes. And there you go. That's all you do with them, obviously having removed the cling film to start with. So let me put, it would help actually if I put my other oven on. I'm going to heat that up for the brownies, which I forgot to do at the start of the recipe, even though I told you it was absolutely foolproof. There we are. So that's made that brownie mixture. It looks wonderful. Let's give it a scrape with a spatula. Tells you to sort of scrape down the sides. Oh, that looks absolutely divine. And then now it wants you to put some walnut halves in. So you can put in 150 grams of walnut halves. You could use pecans if you wanted to, or any nut. I'm not going to put them in just because my children will complain. I love walnuts in a brownie, but if I start giving them nuts, then they won't want to know about it. So if you put the nuts in, it's just going to mix it for another 10 seconds. And then it says transfer it to the tin. So that's what I've got. Can you see that batter? My beautiful brownie batter. Okay, so let's just pop that into the tin. Bring it over again on my tripod. What have I done here? No, there we are. So, whoa. Don't be all wonky again. There we are. Let's try and get you that way around. So here's the tin, just with my baking paper in it. The weight of that brownie mixture is just going to hold that paper down, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Look at that. And we even give you a spatula actually with these Thermomixes. And the reason you get a spatula, you'll see it's got a little notch on it. That hooks into the simmering basket. I'll show you that in a minute. I don't want to dirty that spatula because I've got one over here that I've been using for the chocolate brownie. That's just going to go straight into that tin. And then you can get out as much as you can. And like I said, I can't bear things being left. So if you're like me and you want to get every little scrap out of that bowl, then just have a watch at what I do. I'm just going to pop it back on to the Thermomix, bring you over, and then I'm going to put my turbo function on. So let's just show you that. Oh. Turbo, and I'm just going to give it a couple of blasts at turbo. So this function you would use to chop nuts. Okay, just a couple of 2-second blasts, press the home button afterwards, and then these locking arms will release. And as you can see, it's just spun everything, can you see that? Off the blades and onto the side of the bowl, so I can easily pick it up with a spatula now from the side of the bowl, much to my kids' annoyance. So there's nothing left to lick. That's because I'm a mean mummy. There we are. So perfect. Get that all in that bowl. Well, there might be a little bit left for me. In fact, no, I'm not allowed to eat this because I'm doing veganuary. Oh, that's a shame. So there we are. So that's my tray done. Because it's on a brownie tin, I'm just going to put it onto a little cookie tray so I can pick it up easily. There we are. Oh, I've just realised I'm not wearing my Fitbit. I promised someone I was going to wear my Fitbit so I can monitor how many steps I do during my demos. So that's ready to go in the oven. Because of course, I clearly forgot the oven temperature, to put the oven on to temperature, even though telling you couldn't forget things like that. I'm not going to pop those in straight away, but once they go into 180-degree oven, they will take somewhere between 23 and 28 minutes. I split it down the middle and go for 25. I've got a customer who actually has been known to come in and play with my timer so that she pulls them out after 23, but I think they're just on that side of raw after 23 minutes. So I prefer to go for about 25. Right, so that's the end of the demo. In terms of me cooking, what I'm going to do, it just makes me laugh, I can see my pasta hanging in the background. What I just want to do is very quickly to finish off is just show you the functions on the Thermomix so that you can get an appreciation of everything that it does. I mean, I know we've seen the kneading function, we've obviously seen it cooking, we've seen it making a cake, but I wanted to just walk you through the screen. So on here, you've got access to all the, so through Cookie Do. So this is controlled and linked to an app called Cookie Do. If I show you, I might be able to show you Cookie Do actually through my phone. Let's see if I can get on there. Share, I'm just going to try and share my screen. Can you all see that? Yeah. So this is what Cookie Do looks like. So this is our recipe platform. So a bit like you saw me do on the Thermomix, you can search it. You can search for any recipe. You can search for different recipe books that are created. If you scroll down, it will give you, oh, I didn't want to do that. How do I go back? This is because I'm on my phone and it's super sensitive. Okay, it will, oh, why is it coming out to that? I don't want to see it on there. Oh, it's because I've pressed it, okay. All right, so I'm just gonna try and scroll down very carefully on my phone. So you'll see it brings me up some topics. So it makes me recipe suggestions based on my browsing and my cooking history. It's being very mean and showing me peppermintini at the moment because I'm not drinking alcohol either. So it gives you an idea of what the latest recipes are that have been released. And of course, we've got a big vegan theme this month. So there's lots more vegan and vegetarian recipes being spotlighted. So in here, you'll find lots of seasonal or just various different themes depending on what is being spotlighted or highlighted in a month. Then we've got some articles. It's nice to look at some of the most cooked recipes, see what other customers are using in their Thermomix. And then we've got some more sort of magazine articles. So you can see it's a bit like reading the Waitrose Food Illustrated, actually. There's some lovely articles in here, which are there to help and inspire you. And then it shows you what our latest recipe books that have been released are. And these are all available to you for free through the Cookie Do app. Okay, so if you want to, if we just go and have a look at my my recipes, you'll see on here, and this is exactly the same. So this is the same interface as you've got on your Thermomix screen. But if I go into my recipes at the top, you can see I've got a selection of bookmarks, which are my favourites, recipes that I've favourited. So if I go to, don't want to dwell on my bookmarks. If I go to my created collections, I can create these, can you see recipe folders? You can just see it just on the left-hand side. It's not a brilliant format actually in landscape. I wonder if I can just rotate my phone. So it's going to allow, there we go. Is that, I hope that's the right way up for you now. So you can see I've created folders of recipes. You can create a folder on anything. So one of the folders that's probably got lots of my recipes in it is the chicken one. Look, 127 recipes. So I can just collect all my recipes together. It's really, really useful. Okay, so let's come back out of there. And then not only have I got those collections, I've also got the Thermomix collection. So these are the cookery books that are released. You can buy some of these cookery books as hard copy books. They're beautiful coffee table books, but just scrolling down, you can see, I mean, this was a lovely cookery book, the Christmas one. Some really fun recipes in there. I've done a lot of these actually, but these are all the collections that Cookie Do put together, and you can save them as recipe books to your Cookie Do folders, and then your machine will directly link to those recipes. So, and then if you want to create your own collection, of course, you can see that green create collection. So if I just come back out of there, if it's going to allow me, just, I want the Zoom toolbar to go. I'm going to go onto my week. So you can see this is my weekly planner. Again, this is what you will have seen on the Thermomix screen. And then I'm just going to draw your attention to this. If I can go to my shopping list. No, I don't want to go to that one. Let's see if I can go back to my week. Shopping list. If I go to my shopping list, oh, has it? It's not. Oh, come on, Zoom toolbar. Let me open my shopping list. Oh, this is where Zoom is an absolute nightmare actually, because it brings up the Zoom. Every time I touch my phone screen, it brings up the Zoom toolbar. So there's my shopping list. Can you see that? So if I want to add the recipes to my shopping list, I can just automatically add those recipes to a shopping list. Then I can go and say, right, I've got beer in stock, so I'm just going to edit it. I've got breadcrumbs, I've got butter, haven't got celeriac, so I'm going to leave that on my shopping list. I haven't got chestnut mushrooms, I have got cheese, don't need any more cheese, have got eggs. So I can edit and amend my shopping list. I can also add other ingredients to that shopping list. And then very cleverly now, you can share that shopping list with somebody if you want to send them to the supermarket for you, but you can order your ingredients. All right, so here we go. And you can select your store to order those ingredients with. And actually Waitrose is now appearing on here in Sainsbury's. So we had a software update, which has given us Waitrose and Sainsbury's, which is fabulous. So you can choose your store. If you want to, if you book your delivery slot first, then you can just import the shopping list, I believe. And that's telling me that in Asda, that little lot that I've got in my cart is going to cost me £92.40. Then I think, oh, look, I'm going to see what it's going to cost at Waitrose. Wow, that's quite a difference. What will it cost me at Tesco's? There we go. And of course, then you can swap items as well. So you don't have to have brand name products. You can obviously swap them for cheaper products. Okay, so let's come out of there. Let me just go back onto, I don't think I've got anything else to show you actually on Cookie Do. No, I'm going to stop that. So did you all see that? Okay, the Cookie Do. Yeah, I mean, that is a fantastic feature really of this whole system, because it makes it really easy for you to plan what you're going to cook, then actually order your ingredients for delivery to the door, and then it just takes over and cooks for you. So it's not just a kitchen appliance, it's more like having an extra pair of hands or a sous chef or kitchen assistant in the kitchen for you. So if you just have a quick look at the home screen. Now I'm going to just show you the functions. So the sorts of things you can do with this Thermomix. Obviously we can put the weighing scales on and use weighing scales. You can actually use the weighing scales when it's cooking as well, as long as it's not above a certain speed. You've got the dough function turbo we've seen. That's useful for chopping nuts, grinding coffee beans. It cleans itself. It can be a blender. You've got an egg boiler mode as well. You can use it as a kettle, which is really useful if you're going to sous vide meat or eggs. You can bring your water up to the correct temperature for the water bath, for the sous vide functions. That kettle function is really useful. You can warm up food that you've previously cooked. So I'll probably use that this afternoon with my pasta sauce, the warm up function. This is the thickening mode. So this is the mode which comes on when you are making a hollandaise. So if I just show you what a hollandaise looks like on here, because this is just one of my favorite features of this. I feel so smug when I make hollandaise sauce now, and I've had many failures indeed. So I think that I just want to just pick one with the thickening function. Let me just have a look. There it is. That's the one with the thickening function. So here's my hollandaise. It's as easy as adding in the water, lemon juice, the butter. I usually quarter this recipe if it's just for me and my husband and my son. 8 egg yolks. And then you just click on thicken, turn speed selector. 12 minutes later, about 12 minutes, it automatically detects the temperature of the bowl, how much you've got in there, and adjusts the time to suit. You'll come back to a perfect hollandaise. I mean, that is so clever, and actually loads the chefs. So these appliances are not just used in domestic kitchens, they're also used in pretty much every single Michelin starred kitchen across the world, and chefs love this piece of kit because of functions like this, where it enables you to precisely temperature control your ingredients. So there we go. So we've got the thicker mode. I've just shown you that. You can use it as a rice cooker as well. You can ferment yogurt. So I make lots of yogurt. Sunday night I made 2.5 kilograms of yogurt. It was about, I put it into these little, where are my jars? I did have them to hand, here they are. So I've got these little yogurt pots with a lid. The yogurt ferments, so you use the Thermomix bowl to make the yogurt mixture. It brings it up to the right temperature. You then decant the milk mixture into the yogurt jars. You pop them in the baroma, stick the fermentation function on, and the next morning you come down to beautiful pots of fresh, creamy, thick yogurt. You can use it as a slow cooker, and you can sous vide with it as well. So they are really designed to offer you the functionality of about 25 different machines in one. Yeah, I mean, certainly I use a lot of these functions on a weekly basis. And yeah, I've owned my Thermomixes now. I started with the previous model, the TM5. I've now got 2 TM6s. I think I'd be lost without it now on a daily basis. Right, my oven is at temperature. So I am going to pop in my brownie. Let's just pop that in. Has anybody got any questions for me so far? And oh yeah, the rolls are looking a lot better now. So can you see that? They're just touching. So they will be fine to go in that oven as well. But now I'm cooking my brownie. I want the oven slightly hotter, so I'm just going to leave them there. So probably the last thing to tell you is actually how to buy one of these machines and what they cost. So the cost of the Thermomix is £1,149 if you're buying it outright. We do give people the option to spread the payments over 1, 2 or 3 years. So on a 1-year plan, it works out at about 96 a month. On a 2-year, it's about 56. On a 3-year, it's about 36. So when you break that down, and I do a lot of work with people, people that think they can't afford one of these machines, if you actually look at how they shop and what they're spending their money on in the supermarket, I can show people that not only will they be cost neutral if they buy a Thermomix, they will actually save money in the long term, especially if you buy it on something like a 3-year plan where it's less than £9 a week to buy, which is just fantastic value. So at the moment in January, we have a customer promotion on. We are launching our extended warranty offer on the 1st of February. And when that comes in, it's going to cost £149 if you want to extend the warranty by 3 years. At the moment, there's a 2-year warranty on it. So for the cost of £149, you will be able to extend that warranty to 5 years. So that will give you 5 years peace of mind. At the moment, that extended warranty is costing just £49 in January until the 31st of January. So you will get that full 5 years peace of mind for £49, which again has been really popular with our customers. Thermomix never discount its company policy, so you will never find Thermomixes on sale for less than the selling price, which is £1,149. If you do, there are a lot, just beware, there are a lot of scam sites out there selling Thermomix or purporting to sell Thermomixes at a discount. And I have had a lot of customers be caught up by these sites, and they never receive their Thermomix. The only way to buy a Thermomix is through an official channel, either our e-shop or directly through an advisor. Now, I would also recommend that you buy directly with an advisor, because then you get the benefit, and it's all free, of help and support throughout your ownership of Thermomix. So we are on hand. We are trained to provide you with 5-star service. It's not like when you buy a KitchenAid or an appliance in John Lewis and you get it home, you think, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I would just plug it in and hope for the best. You will get somebody like me on hand to help you every step of the way and to constantly inspire you as well. So that brings us to the end of the demo. We've got a few moments left for questions. What I want to do is pop on my timer actually for that brownie, so I don't forget it. There we go. We've got a few minutes left for questions. Has anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask? I'll just pop you all off mute. So let's try and get you all off mute. Okay. Have you enjoyed watching today? Has it inspired you? What do you think about the Thermomix? Delia, I can see you're trying to talk to me, but you're still on mute. Oh, have you got it should be on your toolbar at the bottom of the screen. There should be a little mute in the left-hand corner. I'm trying to unmute you, but it's not allowing me to. So it just says ask to unmute. Okay, I'll come back to Delia. Lucy, did you enjoy that? Now you've seen, I know you've eaten some of the food that the Thermomix has produced from your friend, but have you been intrigued to see the process?
Yeah, I've loved it. Yeah, and I'll definitely get one.
Yay! Awesome. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, we'll be in touch after this session anyway.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Right, I'm just going to take you off. I'm just going to stop recording as well, because that sometimes puts people off asking questions.